Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. We've got a member of the royal family here, royal cat. I thought I'm not really doing that much at the moment. Say hello, kitty. Hello. I'm filming on Graham's phone, so I'm getting all kinds of weird notifications. I thought, I've been thinking a lot about doing videos on Graham's channel and, what to do. And I haven't been to the boat. That was my intention. And obviously the kids have got the login and they're adding their own bits and pieces. And I was talking to a friend. Well, quite a lot of people have been contacting and saying, how am I doing? And the truth of the matter is I'm doing fine. And I've been sitting for the last couple of hours in the garden and thinking, how can I explain it to people that I'm okay? Yeah, I know. The cat's not actually okay. The animals, they know stuff. She knows, I think the thing is, she knows he's not here. And she would have expected him to be back. And so she's beginning to realise something serious. I don't really know how animals translate stuff. Anyway, the reason that, of course it's difficult. I wanted to make this as well for reasons which will become obvious. Really, the day that Graham died was actually the 17th of May 2023, when he got the diagnosis. So I thought I would explain to all of you, in the hope that anyone out there who's going through any kind of a cancer journey, and especially the type that Graham had. Now, Ben already in his eulogy revealed what type of cancer it was. And I think, now that Graham has passed, obviously he didn't want anyone to know when he was alive, but I know that he was a very open and practical person. So I thought I'd try and explain why, although the end was very difficult, it wasn't traumatic in the same way. Getting all these weird notifications. I think there's a lot of people on Facebook who don't know. Basically, what happened in January... Well, actually, I'll go back a little bit. Yeah, it was January 2023. We have bin lorries who come every night. I know this is going to sound random, how we found out Graham had cancer. And they drive past the house behind. Look, that's where Graham and I would sit. Beyond that window, beyond that wall, every night at about 9:30, 10 o'clock, bin lorry comes. And it's a very, very narrow street. And they're big lorries. They're very, very skillful. Well, one night, January 2023, there was a huge explosion. Bang! I mean, it shook the whole house. It was like a bomb going off. And what it was one of the tyres on the lorry burst. And all the neighbours came out and looked, and, there was a big hoo-ha, and the lorry had to change its wheel. But the neighbour's garage, which is just beyond our house, the door had been bent in like that. I mean, that exaggerated. It was really like a bomb. And a couple of days later, I said to Graham, I can hear water running. And he said, well, let's go and check the water meter outside. I went and the water meter's clocking. So he said, well, let's make sure everything's turned off. Absolutely everything was turned off. No washing machine, no taps were turned on. And I could hear it. And after another couple of days, we could see a bit of a puddle. Not a puddle, but like wetness. And inside where the water meter box is, there were drips. And I said to him, I think that explosion of the lorry tyre blowing up. Because, I mean, it's that close. As the lorry goes down, the guy has very little room to manoeuvre, and then bang! What it had happened was there was a pipe. I bought this thing. It's like a little meter. And you can use it to find pipes in the wall. And so we did that in the bathroom where the big bath is, and tracked down, and I found where the pipes were in the wall, behind where we'd built the bath. And Graham said, oh God, we're going to have to excavate that. We sort of located the leak. There must be a burst pipe in the wall as a result of the explosion, and we're going to have to work it. So logically, like us at Dolphin Safari, you know, when you're on a dolphin trip and you're looking for dolphins, it's all very much strategy. And we located it, and he said, we're going to have to excavate the end of the bath and chip all of it away to expose the pipes, sure enough. And he found that. But doing that, he was sitting in the bath, so he was bending over a lot. And he had a little bit of a beer belly then. And he kept getting so out of breath, saying, oh, I'm exhausted. And I said that, you know, you can't be. You know, you do the engine checks on the dolphin boat every day before the boat goes out. Well, I'm hot now, Cap. He'd lift the engine hatches and do engine checks, which is, I mean, I can't lift those engine hatches. And he just kept saying, I'm so tired. And he excavated it all, and he fixed the plumbing, all perfect. And then he went to the loo, and he said, Fiona, something really weird's just happened. Little tiny black things come out in my piss. And I went and looked, and it was really small, really, really small. And I said, well, I don't know what that is. I don't know. What do you think? He said, I don't know. Well, a while later, like a week or two later, blood started to come. But it wasn't all the time. And I mean, the first time he said to me, you better come to the loo and look at this. I mean, I was thinking kidneys or something like that. I didn't know. Anyway, ultimately, we went to the hospital, of course. And the reason that I say the day Graham actually died was the 17th of May 2023 was because that's when we met the guy who gave him the ultimate diagnosis. And Graham had been Googling, and he said to me, I think I've got bladder cancer. Now, I dismissed his remarks because Graham and I were together for 25 years. And for 23 of those years, he was the biggest hypochondriac I ever met in my life. Now, admittedly, you know, blood in your piss, that's a biggie. But with Graham, we have enormous medicine cabinets. I mean, he had everything for everything. In all the 23 years before this, it was like, Fiona, I've got cancer of the eyeball, I've got cancer of the eyelashes, I've got cancer of the eyebrow. You know, if he could make it up, he'd see something. He was a very suggestible person. You know, I can't breathe, I think maybe I need an oxygen tank, I'm asthmatic. And he was none of those things. And I'd say, look, stop it, stop making a fuss. And it would pass. And but I mean, I knew this one was. But I was thinking kidney stones, something to do with the kidneys, maybe. Well, we went in, and he'd been harping on before, I think I've got bladder cancer. Well, this fella that we met when we walked in, he was all, hello, you know, what do you prefer to be called? You're called Harold Graham Hesketh. What are you called? Harry? And he went, no, Graham. You know, Harry was my dad's name, but I'm technically Harold Graham Hesketh, but everyone calls me Graham because my dad was Harry. Oh, yeah. Oh, meet the wife, yeah. And all these pleasantries. What do you do for a living? And I said, Graham said, what's wrong with me? And the fella kind of hesitated. And I said, we were thinking kidney stones. And he just, like a bullet, come out with it. He said, no, it's cancer. You've got bladder cancer. You've got an enormous tumour. And as this guy said this, like, picture this, I'm sitting here. Graham is there, and the fella's there, and the wall's here. I just looked at the wall and took a sharp intake of breath, and I locked up. I couldn't breathe out. I couldn't breathe out. I was frozen as this guy's just talking and talking and destroying my life. And that was the kicker. Then he explained there are actually 2 tumours, but he dismissed the smaller one. Smaller one was that size. The larger one was the size of an egg. Bladder cancer. And this guy's talking, and Graham's going, so what are you going to do? Oh, we'll remove the bladder. All right, and prostate. Oh, we're going to hack everything out. We're going to hack everything out. You're going to have chemotherapy. Oh, you're going to feel like you're hit by a bus. Oh, it's going to be awful. You know, and this is how this guy was talking. That was one of the most horrific day of my life, actually. And Graham's, I'm sure. Because the journey from that appointment to where we ultimately ended up, I mean, and I can't fault the doctors and nurses. They were fucking wonderful every step of the way. Really, every step of the way. And I emphasise everybody's journey with cancer. I mean, cancer's a huge umbrella name. I've said that before. Everybody's journey is different, and each individual is different. But that guy really took the bull by the horns and laid it on the line. And so I spent days crying. Really. Floods of tears. Not in front of Graham. And Graham did a lot of vlogs at that point. He didn't cry. And that was a real shocker. And so that's what we were going through. At that point, that was like way worse than funeral and death. And it was way worse. That was the thing. Oh, and that's when that stupid Absolutely Average decided to... He started messaging me, and I'm like that. I can hardly breathe because of the fucking diagnosis. And I said, you know, get on with your channel. Hope all is well. Go away. Leave me alone. I don't want to get involved with your row with Trevor Court. And the cunt come at me. All she's talking about, fuck off, you cunt. You know, I was thinking, you fat, ugly, flat cat cretin, are the last thing on my fucking mind. Sorry if I'm losing my shit, guys, but I'm like reliving it. So, and of course, Graham and I never spoke really about him dying. You know, what's going to happen after he's dead. We never spoke about that. We just lived the moment, continued life as normal. You know, I see these stupid sugars saying, oh, you should tend to your husband, your dying husband, every precious moment. No, when someone is in that situation, you carry on and you live life as you always would. Because what's the point if you're going to live in misery and fear? And we had no idea at that point. Well, anyway, after that bloody awful diagnosis, first thing I said to him was, what do you want to do? Do you want to move? Do you want to go on a cruise? First thing he said was, I don't want to go back to safari at this point. So we rang Tim, told him. He went, yes, that's fine. You're good. Your job's here when you're ready. I don't think we told the kids for a few weeks. So Tim knew, Safari knew. And because a bloody little YouTuber, Absolutely Average, everything's about me. I'm like, oh, fuck off. He was busy winding everyone up and just telling everybody a fucking load of lunacy, which made Graham very angry. And this little twat continued and tried recruiting other people, which made Graham more angry because he was thinking, I might not be around and I can see where this twat's going. Well, he needn't have worried about that one. So anyway, that was, so we were really put through the mill. Like the diagnosis, oh yeah, he got cancer, you're going to, well, the guy didn't say, Graham said to him, how long have I got to live? And the fella said, I'm not going to answer that question because it's not productive. Graham asked a lot of other, Graham sat there like that. Never cried, never flinched. I think the fella, and I just, like I said, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. Then there was talk of biopsies, and there were all sorts of graphic discussions there. And well, Graham was never really the same after the biopsy, actually. He changed as a character. But he did love all of you. My God, you carried him. You've got no idea how much you carried him through it. Better than I ever could, single-handedly. Don't get me wrong. He loved me and he loved us being together. But you guys, you made all the difference. Because if we hadn't had YouTube and YouTube friends, do you know what? I think I'd probably have killed myself by now. I think he probably would as well. Because when I started my YouTube channel, he was really into flight. He had his YouTube channels, but he was into flight sim and his own thing. And he didn't get that many views. And he was never bothered about the views. He was more bothered about the comments and the feedback. And I started to say to him, oh, look who so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And he, bit by bit, got into meeting all of you guys. And then because I was like, oh, God, this is Graham. So then you guys came along, and I will never forget any of you. I know we've never met, but I kind of feel we have. I kind of feel we know each other, in a manner of speaking. And you made such a difference. God, I'm not just making it up. Such a difference to him. And I feel bad not doing I felt, chat with the cat. And, chat with the cat, who's finally decided to be quiet. She knows something's wrong, whereas she knew before. And it's a big adjustment period. But it's not as... the blow came on the 17th of May. And then after that consultation, I said to him, well, that's it. I'm going to put you on the Budwick diet. Can't hurt. Flaxseed oil is extremely good for people. It's one of these health things. It's very, very, very good for people. And I spoke to the doctors and nurses and they said, yeah, there's no harm at all in that. So I put him on the flaxseed diet, and then he went for a scan. He had 2 cycles of chemotherapy because he was diagnosed 17th May. Then there's loads of appointments. They have to get MRI scan, PET scan, CT scan. Those all take time. And then they book them in, and the chemo unit in St Bernard's is quite small. It's embryonic. They've been running about 2 years now. And so then they have to make the appointments depending on the length of chemotherapy, because some people only have 15 minutes of chemotherapy, some people have 10 hours. It depends, male, female, body type. It's not an exact science, so the chemo department are working very hard on that. So his chemo started, I think, late June. The first cycle started. So between the 17th of May and late June, I'd been pumping him with the Budwick. Normal food as well. And then he did, and I wanted to build his immune system up as strong as possible. So lots of tuna, gazpacho, guacamole, stuff like that. Mediterranean diet as well, they call it. The oncology department were very in favour of the Mediterranean. And to build up his immune system and make it as strong as possible so that it could take the chemo. And he had really strong chemo. They call it the platinum, because it's like, I think, platinum standard. It's total Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He had, the first day would be like a Monday, for example, and he would have cisplatin and gemcitabine. And the second day he would just have the cisplatin. And then they would be a break of a few days, and then he would have the gemstatabine, and then he would have a break of 8 days. And that's a cycle. And then they'd have the second cycle. Standard of care is, after the first 2 cycles, scan. And he was still on the cottage cheese and flaxseed oil, Budwick diet. And he was doing really well. First 2 cycles, he was really quite strong. His hair started to fall out just after the second cycle. Went for a scan. They said, this is unbelievable. The tumour that was that size had disappeared. They referred to it as can no longer be seen. It had gone. The larger tumour, size of an egg, was not only half its size, it was decimated. You could see through it on the scan, and it had like little tails. It was just, and that's when we were so excited. And I said, there you go, Budwick's working. Of course, oncology attributed that success to the chemo. Well, we continued with the Budwick. They put him on the 3rd cycle, and he just threw up. He said to me, I can't take any more Budwick. I can't take any more tuna. It was quite difficult to get food down him. 3rd and 4th cycles were really hard. All his hair fell out, eyebrows, eyelashes. And at that time we had other YouTubers having a go at us, but that's neither here nor there now. That stupid little flat cap, creepy, stalky cunt was still having a go, which was winding Graham up as well. And of course the Sussex squad, they were loving it all. Oh, you're dying, good, like the Queen, good, die, like, hope they all get cancer in the royal family, you know that? I hope Meghan gets tons of shit for this. Anyway, so he just gave up on the Budwick diet, and well, he couldn't eat it. He couldn't eat anything. He just felt sick. And then they do another scan at the end, and they did another scan at the end, and they said the little tumour that could no longer be seen had not come back, but the larger one had started to grow back. I spoke to the surgeon, the top surgeon, and make no mistake, these people who work at Guy's and St Thomas's in London, they are the same people who treat the royal family. They're the same people who treat members of the public, because they are the best. They are the alto. Graham had the top surgeons in the NHS, the top surgeons in the UK. And I spoke to him on the phone, and I said, look, I have belief in the Budwick. And he said, well, the tumour's actually grown, if anything. So I said, well, so these last 2 cycles did absolutely nothing except destroy his body. And he said, yeah, I'm afraid so. Well, we'll never know, really, will we? If the Budwick was the reason that the smaller one disappeared and the larger one was decimated, but the larger one started to grow back. And what could we do? We looked at each other and we thought, well, if we refuse surgery and chemo and we stick with the Budwick, an unknown, unscientifically proven method, you could die. But if we go for this, and the type of surgery, it's called a cystectomy. You can look it up. Bladder removal. It is huge surgery. Huge. Worse than a heart transplant, honestly. That's what they said to me. So anyway, we what else could we do? And they would bless them. So we flew to the UK, and it was a huge ordeal. It wasn't just like he arrived and had surgery. I mean, we had appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment with dietitians, phlebotomists, surgeons, anaesthetists. I mean, you name it. They want the patient to be informed. They were so wonderful. And the nurses on the ward, and I asked the surgeon, I mean, I adored it, he had 4 surgeons. 4 surgeons. One surgeon each on the 2 robots, operating the robots, and 1 surgeon each actually doing the performance. And I asked one of the surgeons who was doing the robotics how many people were in the theatre with him. 7.5 hour operation. And he said, about 15 of us. There's a team of anaesthetists, there's a team of us surgeons, there's a team of nurses, there's a team of this, team of that. So 15 people operating on him for 7 hours, 7.5 hours. Oh my God. And then the recovery, I mean, I took my hat off, not only to him, but the doctors, the nurses, how he healed. And of course, all the time we were staying in accommodation near Big Ben, and I was doing all the videos, and I was walking between the two hospitals, there and back, every day, which is, I don't know, I don't know how the distance, but it would take me about 25 minutes along the river, and buying little things. You know, we got into our little routine, and then we came back to the UK in, I think, the November 2023, and all was well. And then, of course, he had to have scans. He had a scan in February here in Gibraltar, and they said, "You're clear, it's all fine." He said, I've got a bit of a lump. You know, the lump was just on the side of his abdomen, and this same guy had gone, "Oh, yep, bladder cancer," same fella. He felt it, and it was quite squashy, and he said, "That's where one of the robots has gone in. I think that's a hernia." He said, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. We'll keep an eye on that." Well, then Graham went for another scan 3 months later, and we didn't hear anything else. And then we were called into oncology, who said, "I'm sorry, but it's everywhere." June 28th, 2024. And they said, "Do you want chemotherapy as palliative?" And he said, "It's not going to fix me." No. And they said, "Fair enough." And you know the rest of the story. He was on the Budwick diet. And I said, "We'll put, from the 28th of June last year, I said, we'll put you back on that straight away." I wasn't for giving up. I thought, no fucking chance. And it did make a difference. And he was absolutely fine. I mean, you saw videos of him all the time. He was fine all the time we were on the boat until we moved back to the house on the 16th of November. Oddly enough, that's when Trevor, Gwen and Sebastian came over to stay. And all of a sudden he said, "Oh, I've got a hip pain." But he didn't want to make a fuss. He said, "Don't tell Trevor, don't tell Gwen or anyone." And we did the 1920s party. And I said to him, "Have a bit more flaxseed oil." And the pain went away. It was really bad. It came for 3 days and then it went away. And I said to him, "Well, I don't think that's cancer, because cancer doesn't go away." And it came back about 3 weeks later, and he was like, could hardly walk. And I said to have some more flaxseed oil, and then it went away. And we went and spoke to the oncologist, and he agreed with me. He said, "I don't think that's cancer, because cancer pain doesn't come and then go. You know, if it's encroached on something, generally the pain will stay." But it appeared that at the very end, yes, that hip pain was cancer. It was eating its way into his pelvic bone. But it is interesting that the flaxseed made it go away, at least temporarily. I say that for what it's worth, guys. I mean, each cancer journey is really individualistic. It's up to each person how they do it. But I thought I would... What was that? See, now it's just me in the house. Well, actually, Benjamin's fast asleep. He's about as useful as a chocolate fireguard. But now I'm alone in the house. It's just like going back to when I lived in the flat when I was 27. And I'd be going round checking all the windows and doors. I'm looking for Flat Cat Man, you know, crazy fool. Crazy fool. I mean, really, talk about a self-centred little creep. And in doing those videos, calling Graham a prick 7 times, and then sending me a legal letter going, "My client never called your husband a prick 7 times, so I'll provide the video. Graham, you prick, you prick, you prick. Graham, you prick, fuck off, you prick. Graham, let's have a fight, you prick." Oh boy, his solicitor must have gone bright red with shame. His trainee solicitor. What a horrible little no-mark. Ugh. Anyway, so I thought I would explain that. I think it's a plant pot rolling around on the ceiling. So that's why I'm not sort of falling apart now, because actually I fell apart 2 years ago nearly now. was right at the point that Trevor was getting grief off this absolutely boring twat. So there were loads and loads of tears there, and actually Graham told me that he did loads of cancer vlogs, which he never released on this channel. So I will go through them and I will release them. But I feel I'm letting him down if I don't upload videos and if I don't talk, because it's completely different on his channel. You know, we talk to you. On my channel, it's very focused Meghan Markle, and believe me, I want to get to the bottom of those maggots. But on Graham's channel, it's much more relaxed, and I haven't really felt very, you know, how I can explain what's going on. But can you see now how much it hurt having people say, oh, he's faking it, oh, he's monetizing having cancer because they said he was crowdfunding. I mean, where? Show me the link to a fucking crowdfund. Guy was just dying of cancer, and then having Meghan's trolls and other people laughing at him. Now I completely empathise with the royal family, with King Charles and Princess Catherine. I mean, the shit she was put through this time last year. Unbelievable. Where's Kate and all that? William's murdered Kate. William's buried Kate. William beats Kate up. All that bullshit. When I know that what that family were going through is exactly what we were going through around about the 17th of May 2023. So, I mean, Meghan and Harry and their fans are just the worst. Thank you very much for listening. Good night, and may your God go with you.